Today we're speedrunning every ending in No I'm Not a Human. The speedrun starts with our neighbor knocking on our door, who's the only person visiting us this first night. With him, we start to learn about how the sun is getting so hot that it will burn people during the day, and that people are coming up from the ground called visitors. These visitors will pretend to be people to get into your home, so you need to prevent them from coming in, but you also need to let real people in to keep you safe. So that's the main thing we need to focus on for most of the game. The next day, the neighbor's daughter picks him up and some more people come, and thankfully we know the first person at the door, the bar guy, will always be a real person, since there are certain people who are always human, certain people who are always visitors like the cashier woman who came in second, and people who have a 50-50% chance on being human or visitor like the gravedigger. By the way, these names are what they're actually known as in-game, because we never learn anyone's first names. Then once we talk to everybody that night, we can head to sleep, and it'll become daytime where you can talk to your guests around the house to see their stories or try to find out if they're a visitor. But for most days, we just drink a beer since that allows us to go to nighttime immediately. I'll let you know anytime we do something different during the day though. Now for night 2, I let in this dude named Sun Guy, who can either be a visitor or a human. If you have 2 or more visitors in your house at the same time, they have a chance to kill the humans there, but if it's just one, you'll be safe. And we need an extra guest for night 4, so I wasn't worried. But on night 3, we got the pale visitor who will automatically kill you if you don't have anyone in your house, but we passed that check. And we see the prophetic man who comes in important in some endings, and he tells us to let a cat inside, but that doesn't matter too much for this ending, so we'll ignore him for now. He never comes in your house though, just drops by to say some vague stuff. And then on night 4, FEMA came by. This organization takes your guests for testing and never brings them back. So that's why I let Sun Guy in, with hopes they would take him instead of Bar Guy, but they didn't, so that was unlucky. We do get another confirmed human this night though, our neighbor's daughter known as Little Girl, who came here because someone killed her dad and burned down their house. So we'll let her in to replace Bar Guy, before ending the night by refusing the ballet dancer, who's always a visitor. If you let her in, you get the cat that the prophetic man was talking about, but again, we don't need it this ending. By the way, if you end up enjoying the video, consider subscribing, it really helps with the YouTube algorithm. Now for night 5, FEMA took away Sun Guy, which was good news for us, and we got a FEMA notice which you can give to one of your guests to make sure they'll be taken by FEMA on the next check. We also saw the pale visitor again, but since the little girl was here, we were safe, and we ended the night with one more guaranteed human, the kindergarten teacher, so we were in a great place. The nights the pale visitor and FEMA come are always consistent by the way, so we plan ahead and always have what we need for those. Then for night 6, you don't get any guests when you don't have the cat, so we can sleep immediately, and for night 7, we got another guaranteed human, the widowed woman. Yeah, I was getting really lucky this first run, though my luck did not last forever, as you'll see later on in the video. Night 7 also gives us the firefighter, who's a guaranteed human, and he also gives us another FEMA notice. This meant we were more than comfortable with FEMA taking 2 more people on day 8 before the death cult leader came by and asked us to take care of his 3 death cult members for a couple days and keep them alive. Last important person this day is the Vigilante, who goes around killing visitors, so he'll be back later to check if we are one. Both of these guys have endings later on, but we don't care about them right now, so I gave my FEMA notices to the members of the death cult so they can get taken later on, and drank my beer to switch to day 9 where the pale visitor comes again. This time if you have 2 or more visitors you die, but we passed that check easily since the death cult is all guaranteed humans, and we made it to night 10 where a couple things happen. First, we give up the death cult members to FEMA, and that's the last time we need to worry about them. Then the death cult leader gets upset we didn't keep his people safe, so he just leaves us alone. And lastly, the vigilante comes back to kill us if we're a visitor, but a visitor towel is having dirty fingers, so we show him our clean hands, and we're free to keep living. Now there's only a couple more nights left for this first ending, and night 11's big event is the pale visitor coming one last time. This time, if you have more visitors than humans in your house, or an equal amount of them, it's an automatic death. But we only have humans, so we're good to go. And since this is his last check, we don't need to let anyone else in the house. So night 12 comes, and all that's of importance here is the vigilante checks our hands again, and we're still clean. Now with all that done, nobody new comes night 13, and for day 14 we board up our windows since we get more paranoid, getting our first ending called The End. For the speedrun, I always skip the ending cutscenes, but I will quickly explain them here using other videos I recorded later before going back to the run. And in this one, we survive with only humans in the house and make it past summer. But our main character is kinda disappointed because this is now reality for the rest of his life. Yeah, kinda sad. Anyways, ending number 2 is more or less the same stuff, but instead of surviving with no visitors, we make sure we have at least one of them by the end. So on night 11, after the pale visitor left, I let in the immortal man, who's always a visitor, and ended off in a similar way. In this ending, our character gets more and more paranoid over time, and eventually we get killed off by visitors. Next up, I decided to go for a really weird ending. In this one, we need to let the lady with a cat in, and that opens up our basement door. The ballet dancer did immediately get removed by FEMA though, which was funny, but it's the cat we need, not her. Having the cat causes the mushroom eater to come in on night 6, who tells us something called the Mushroom Festival is drawing near, and gives us some pages from the Book of Smiles, which has a bunch of instructions to stop it. So on day 7, we want to go to the basement and get a mushroom that we can eat at the fridge, and then while we're sleeping, we get this weird vision of going through a tunnel and a bunch of mushrooms showing up and blocking the end off. Then on day 8, we eat an apple from one of our shelves, and for day 9, we need to set our clock in our room to 12. This makes the mushroom eater come back on night 9, where he's happy we did the Book of Smiles instructions and hopes it will stop the festival. But it did not at all, since the mushroom eater comes back one last time on night 10 and tells us we need to come with him to Mushroom Land, so we agree, and that's how you get the ending. This cutscene talks about how mushrooms are going to cover the entire earth because we didn't stop them soon enough, and then a huge mushroom grows in the city. So yeah, that's something. Next up, I decided to go for the ending where you join FEMA. For this ending, you need to watch the TV in your room on day 3 to get their number, and then start calling them for 3 days straight. You can ask them questions about identifying visitors, but we just tell them thank you for being helpful and move on with our day. Second important thing is to always be nice to the FEMA agent who shows up so he'll like us. And lastly, once we have 2 FEMA notices, we want to make sure we give both of them to someone in our house, so I gave one to this mom and one to the firefighter guy who gave us the second notice in the first place. Sorry man, but I gotta do what I gotta do. This causes FEMA to be really happy with us, so they tell us we work for them now. And in this ending, we're never quite sure what our job even is, but we are sure we'll never get to go home now. Next, it was time for the Yes, I'm a Murderer ending. For this ending, I like to watch the TV on day 2, which gives us 4 Rest, the product delivery company. We can then call them and order some energy drinks, which come that night via a delivery guy. Then the plan is to just survive with at least 1 human until all the cult members show up. This way we have 4 humans in the house. Then the next day, you can go through shooting all the cult members, drinking an energy drink to regain 1 energy, and then we'll shoot our last human. This causes the prophetic man to show up at our door the next night and tell us our fate is inevitable, which immediately begins the cutscene for this ending. And for this one, we live in a life of fear, and the protagonist takes his own life. Which, by the way, just to mention this here, please remember that you truly are loved and things can get better. If you're going through something right now, I really do believe in you to make it through it, so please just keep going, you got this. Next up was another ending that's really similar to our first 2, where we want to survive the entire game, not making any mistakes. But instead of surviving with anyone, after the last pale visitor visit, we shoot all our guests and survive by ourselves. This ending is pretty sad, where we slowly lose track of time, wishing someone was with us. Soon the walls start caving in, but once the house collapses, the protagonist weirdly feels free. In our next ending, I kinda made a mistake. At the beginning of this playthrough, I let in the parentless teenager, but once we got to the little girl, for some reason she didn't like the teenager, so we removed the teen. But I was menuing so fast and kind of just on autopilot, so I didn't notice. This meant that the little girl was taken by FEMA, and once the pale visitor asked if we were alone, we actually were this time, so he came into our house and murdered us. At the very least, this is one of the endings we need to get anyways, and for this one, our house remains empty because everyone avoids it, and everything in it is forgotten. Next up, I was going for the cult ending, but the seductive woman showed up on night 7, who's a random encounter, so I decided to do her ending instead. She decides to stay in our bed, and we need to keep her alive for the next 3 nights. So because FEMA was coming the next day, I gave some other people my FEMA notices and hoped that the next time FEMA came, they would take the cult members instead of her. Oh, also every night she gets in more and more pain with something sticking out of her belly. But on the last night before we got the ending, FEMA came by and took her away. This was really unlucky because they also took away a cult member, so I couldn't do that ending either. Now looking back, what I should have done was the Vigilante ending, but I wasn't thinking straight after getting that bad luck, and reset the playthrough instead. Yeah, silly time loss. The seductive woman did thankfully show up the next playthrough though, and this time we were able to keep her alive until we get a little jump scare during the night's TV section, and then we see her lying on the bed dead. Then we click on the window curtains, followed by finding a baby in the office and the bathroom before going to sleep. But then I made a bit of a mistake by trying to sleep after that instead of going to the door. This broke the game because it was night 13 and I ended up needing to reset the whole thing, but thankfully it saved my spot. So I was able to go back in, go to the front door instead, and trigger the ending where our baby starts some sort of cult and causes terrible things to happen around the world. After that, it was time for the cult ending, where instead of letting the cult go with FEMA, we give our FEMA notices to 2 other people in our house. This keeps them safe and the cult leader happy, and we get to keep 3 people in our house who are confirmed humans. Then on night 11, the cult leader offers us the opportunity to join the death cult, and we get another ending by saying yes. This puts the protagonist with the cult, trying to find death until a portal appears, we enter it, and now we're in some weird floating house. Yeah, it's some strange stuff, but just 2 more endings to go, and for our second to last one, we want to stock up on some more energy drinks from the delivery service. So we'll get those delivered on night 2, and we'll also want to get the cat again for this ending. Next, on night 5, we'll get even more energy drinks delivered, and on night 6, we'll deny the mushroom guy this time. Eventually on night 8, the prophet guy shows back up and tells us to dig in our basement. So we can do that the next day, and this is also why I wanted the energy drinks. Digging takes up all your stamina, but we can dig, drink an energy drink, and then repeat this process until it's all dug out. We can then talk to someone in the hole, which is strange that there's anyone there, but we'll be coming back here again later. All that's left to do this day is drink another energy drink and check our hands so we can clean our nails. This ensures that we can show the vigilante our hands is proof of being human so we don't die. Finally, a couple days later, the prophetic man comes back one more time, telling us to go into the hole in our basement, and we do just that. You have to follow a maze until you find the hole and jump straight in, which puts us in this really weird room. Here we talk to Death, who then puts us in some weird space with a house at the end. So we walk to the door, getting the ending where we're all alone and time means nothing. Then we kinda just stay here forever. And for our last ending, all we need to do is stay alive until the 10th day. This time, instead of staying safe from the vigilante, we tell him to check our ears, which always have the signs of a visitor. So he aims his gun at us, giving us the time of 2, 10, 24. And for the actual ending, we get in a standoff with the dude and shoot each other. He ends up dying, and we get angry at him for killing so many people. Our character then decides to kill a bunch of people with weapons, and becomes what he hated. So that's the speedrun. Alright, subscribe if you enjoyed. Bye.